The Dalton gang's story ended in a hail of gunfire in Coffeyville, Kansas. But the Dalton family's story did not end that day when the guns fell silent. This is the story of the Dalton women, their untold struggles and remarkable resilience. When the shooting stopped and the legends were born, the women of the Dalton family were left to pick up the pieces, their lives shattered and their stories erased from history. At the heart of the family was Adeline Dalton, their mother. Forged by poverty and loss on the unforgiving Kansas frontier, she raised a huge family, fighting a daily battle just to keep them fed. Long before her sons became famous outlaws, her life was one of relentless struggle. Her husband, Lewis Dalton, died while her children were still young, leaving Adeline to manage the family on her own. When her son Frank died wearing a lawman's badge, and others turned against the law, she carried both the grief and the blame, a heavy burden that history rarely mentions. For Adeline, there was no legend, only survival. The Dalton sisters Eva, Leona, and Florence dreamed of ordinary lives. They wanted respectability and a future free from violence. But in the Wild West, a family name follows you everywhere, and the Dalton name soon became a curse. As their brothers' crimes grew more daring, suspicion followed the sisters. Neighbors whispered, lawmen watched their every move. Though they committed no crimes themselves, they were judged as if they had. Blood loyalty forced them into impossible situations. Sometimes they helped their brothers with food or a safe place to hide, not because they approved of the crimes, but because family bonds were stronger than fear. These acts of silent courage only brought more condemnation, yet their bravery was never recorded in the history books. After the disastrous Coffeyville raid, the consequences were final. With Bob and Grat dead and Emmett in prison, the Dalton name was sealed in infamy. The women were left to mourn in private while the world turned their family tragedy into a spectacle. But they endured. In the years that followed, some of the Dalton women managed to rebuild their lives, marrying and working to reclaim their dignity in a society that rarely forgave. They quietly fought against the myths and exaggerations, determined to preserve some piece of the truth. The Dalton women were never outlaws, but they bore the punishment. They were never celebrated, but they carried the heaviest burdens. Their strength went unseen, but it was real. The story of the Dalton family is simply incomplete without them. Thank you for watching.